constitutional adjustment, you would have been pissed off too. You would have been mad if you would have been sitting in jail for a crime that you didn't commit. Because guess what? This ain't my first time. This ain't my first time spending in jail for a crime that I didn't commit. You know, and I don't expect you to understand that because you're a paper pusher.
Well, let's jump into another Connecticut parole hearing. He was sentenced in 2019 for 5 years and 6 months for stealing a vehicle, going on a chase with the police officers, really ending up in quite a mess. Now, Hull insists on his innocence, but we have the documents, and we'll go over those documents at the end of this parole hearing. But with that, let's jump in.
My name is Luis Vicente. My MA number is 321453.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Vicente. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mr. Luis Vicente, inmate number 321453, who is serving a total effective sentence of between 10 years, execution suspended after 5 years, 6 months, concurrent, followed by 5 years probation, and this for the charges of assault on public safety officer, EMT, transit, health, a violation of probation with the underlying charge being conspiracy to commit larceny 2nd degree, and then lastly, 3 counts assault 3rd degree. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of August 14th, 2023. This is at 85% eligibility. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender has conceived voices and anger management. The anger management was completed more recently as of February 16th, 2024. And this is Mr. Vicente remains on the Department of Correction waiting list for education and 5 or 7 day job assignment, and that's according to the RT3 inquiry. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the RT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. All right, Mr. Vicente, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
No, I was going to consider waiving my parole before I came up here because my DOC disciplinary record is not an example to be followed. But I had a difficult time dealing with this incarceration. You know, I lost my mother at the beginning of this sentence, and I know some might not want to hear this, but when I was sentenced, I pled guilty to charges that I felt like I had no other alternative but to plead guilty because the state wasn't playing fair with me. So I figured I'd plead out to the sentence, but I'd take them up in civil court. I took 5.5 years. It was better than going to court and not having the necessary tools that I needed to be able to prove that I was innocent. The officers in my case responded to a robbery carjacking. There was no robbery. There was no carjacking. I was operating a vehicle that was a similar make and model. My truck was gold. The truck that they were looking for was chrome gray. So I had the officers crash into me. I was so nervous though that I didn't know what to do. So I took them on a chase. I know we're not here to talk about that, but I just want to express this to you because maybe it'll allow you an opportunity to look in and see how I reacted to my incarceration. So I took the 5.5 years and I filed a civil lawsuit against these officers. And I sued these officers for the black box in their police vehicles to prove that it wasn't me that crashed into them. It was them that crashed into me. I don't know if you can see this right here, but I was successful in suing these officers for accusing me of crashing into them. I did 5.5 years of my life that I could never get back. I had a lot of difficulties adjusting to being in here, but as I sat in here, I figured I'd rather do something more worth it than my time than just run around and get in trouble. I started developing blogs online for prison rehabilitation, such as individuals as myself who spent a lot of time in level 4 facilities, to be able to be involved in something that's called a community reintegration program, so that individuals who spent a lot of time in level 4 facilities can gradually be released and be reintroduced to society, not just be released from a level 4 facility and just be thrown out into the community without no rehabilitative services. So and I wrote this up, I've shared it with wardens. No, the only reason why I was able to make it to this hearing was because I reached out to certain individuals, like my unit manager, Councilor Landolina. He was one of my biggest advocates. He moved to get me off high security status, which I just signed that paper this morning. He got me off high security status just so I could be able to, be able to apply for these type of community reintegration programs, such as halfway house, things like that. I picked up an assault on DOC since I was incarcerated, mainly because I don't like to see abuse. I confront abuse when I see it. And, this officer was a little bit more aggressive than me. And I know if you look at my sentencing charge, my release date wasn't, at all affected by the alleged assault on DOC. And we know when you assault a Department of Corrections officer, you automatically get more time. They don't run it concurrent. So that officer is no longer employed by the Department of Corrections. I was physically assaulted. I just figured I cut my losses and I plead guilty to the charge because it wasn't going to affect my time. And he dealt with whatever he had to deal with because he's no longer employed. So since I've been incarcerated, I also had assistance from the warden, the deputy warden, the commissioner. I'm currently right now working with a company called the Davidson Place. I've manufactured patents such as a universal adapter with interchangeable plugs, a flat adapter that mounts to the back of your phone. You hit the button on it and it automatically retracts the 2 prongs so you can plug your phone directly into the wall. The reason why I bring this up is because these are the things that I engaged in that help me to be able to come before you guys and plead my case, because the warden had to go out his way to authorize me to be able to have a private communications between these individuals, because all phone calls are recorded. So when these individuals started seeing the changes that I was making and the progress that I was making, it made them become more aware of what I was really trying to do, you understand? And they assisted me in being able to make those changes.
Is that it, Mr. Vincente?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with us. Basically, what we've done on the way in here is read about the past, this incarceration. Based upon that, we have some questions for you. Then we're gonna discuss your case and we're going to give you a decision on parole, okay?
Yes.
And I appreciate what you shared with us. Just know in 14 weeks, it's end of sentence, right?
Yeah.
Right? Also, DOC has you as pending when it comes to halfway house.
Yes.
So the thing is, if you got the warden there and deputy wardens that know you and such, they could work on seeing that happen. That doesn't come through us, right? For me, it's like I have to take at face value what's in front of me, right? And
Absolutely.
I heard what you said about the assault. You know, there's 16 tickets here. Some are for fighting. I know that it's not an easy place to be. You know, somebody gets in your face or you have a beef with somebody, sometimes it doesn't go the right way, you know? You know, whether or not they're the aggressor or you're the aggressor, whatever, it's, you know, that's, it happens. You get tickets, right? And I appreciate the explanation on the, you know, the offense itself, you know? There is, you know, when I look at your history, you know, it's not, you've had trouble, right? 18 times since 2004, right? And, I hear you trying to do the right things. You know, I hear you trying to put your best foot forward, you know, and that kind of thing. I'm not here to judge you, right? Or to say that you haven't made some progress, but I do have to take a look at what's in front of me, right? And the biggest thing that you said was tickets, you know. However, if we look at tickets, right, as well, you haven't had a ticket since last June, right?
Yes,
So is that a little bit of different thinking or what?
that's definitely the only reason why I got that ticket was, you know, I came across somebody who killed my nephew.
Yeah.
You know, and he came after me. You know, I would have did what I did what anybody else would have did in that position.
I can respect that. And I really wasn't talking about the ticket. I was talking about.
The ticket.
I
Yeah.
wasn't talking about the ticket. I was talking about since last June.
Oh yeah, because you know, I got moved into a unit where, you know, I've been basically mentored by the unit manager. He used to be a parole coordinator. So, you know, he just been helping me deal with things a little differently. You know, I know him for a long time. We, you know, we speak, you know, it's different when you have somebody around you, you know, to be able to, you know, guide you, give you guidance, you know?
Very different.
Yeah, so.
I'm sorry about your mom and how that applied here, right? In this incarceration. Do you have anybody else out there that's like this unit manager?
Yeah, my brother. He has an import-export company. You know, when I got out of here, you know, my plan was, you know, the warden who with this, he no longer resides here. He got moved to a different job. The warden that we got right now, he's a little too hard, you know? Like, he's against anything that helps inmates. Like, so, you know, but I don't allow that to get in my way because I got a plan already. And I got support when I get out of here. But I really wanted to get out of here and be able to do things my own because, you know, I spent my whole life in jail. You know, this ain't my first time. You know, I'm not a bad guy. I'm stupid because I spent my whole life in jail. And every time I have an encounter with police, I always take off running. It just has to do with my mental health. I deal with mental health issues. I don't trust authority figures. You know, even if I'm not doing nothing, it's just, I don't know. It's just, hopefully sometime down the road, I could be able to receive some type of treatment for it. You know?
So there's one thing for sure, and that's that, you know, programs like that are offered through probation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's not you don't get extra points for being a man and going through this life without any help.
Yeah,
You don't get any extra points for that, right? The strongest of men got people that they talk to, when they're going through stuff,
yeah.
Because other than that, how does it come out? It comes out physically. And that's not what you want to do, right?
That's a
You've been
fact.
down for 5 now, and you're 36 years old.
I had to live
I
like
know you want to stop, right?
I got a brother, he got an import-export company.
Yeah.
I plan on moving out of the state. Like right now, I got the Davidson company. I designed a retractable cell phone chain.
Yeah.
It's durable, it mounts to the back of your phone.
So,
I made sure that since I've been sitting here, that I did something productive with my time other than just sit around, play cards, work out, do things like that. I need to invest in something that's gonna help me make progress in the future. You understand? I can't repeat this again. I'm 36 years old. I have no kids. I have no history. Right now, you can open a photo album or open your phone and be able to see where you came through in life, how you looked at this age. I don't have that. I don't have a history. I'm trying to create a history right now.
so you understand where we are though, right?
Yes.
So it's not that we wish you ill will at all. We wish you the best, right? We want you to succeed. We want you to use what's there and help yourself move on, And
There hasn't been any resources. I haven't been supplied with any resources. Like right now, I wrote a letter to the warden. Here's the letter. I said, I am writing to express my desires for rehabilitative services. I sued the Department of Corrections for rehabilitative services. And I'm right now in court at the end of my sentence arguing with the Commissioner of Corrections of why I have not been supplied with rehabilitative services. I said I'm expressing my desires for rehabilitative services that will enable me to have a successful reentry back into society. As an inmate, I understand that the importance of rehabilitative services such as education, job training, and I believe that access to these resources will help me to become a productive member of society. I respectfully request that you consider providing me with access to educational programs such as college courses, vocational training, and other job-related programs that will enable me to develop the skills that can be used in the workforce. Additionally, I would like to participate in any and all counseling therapy services such as services that are available to help me, that will help me address any personal behavioral issues or any preventative issues that I have that I can deal with. Furthermore, I would like to request that my high security restrictions be removed so that I can be able to participate in halfway house programming. You understand? I know what it is, to spend your whole time incarcerated and not be able to, and the state not provide you not one program. This catch and release thing that Connecticut has, that Connecticut does, surrounding states have long been this practice. Catch and release. You catch an individual, you make them max out, and then you release them. I spent time on high security for something that happened on a separate incarceration. It had nothing to do with this incarceration.
Well, thank you for answering my questions.
No
Either
problem.
of you have any questions?
Let's see. You covered the DR that he shared his situation. Sorry about your mother, about the loss of your mother. But the only thing I want to add to that you know what, Mr. Vicente, when you're released, you're going to run into many stressful kind of situations, and they can't be resolved by lashing out in some way, you need to figure out a skill for you, a way to deal with that so that you don't find yourself in this kind of situation. I mean, you already shared that you find yourself in a stress when you're confronted by authority, right? So you want to try to figure out how you deal with that. And that's something that I think you need to kind of strongly work on.
Yeah.
All right, to try to keep out of some of these situations. Because although it's 16 current tickets, it's 85 total tickets in all of your time. And that's a lot of something going on that you're not dealing with. We had someone earlier on and that spent many years and had no tickets. So somehow you got to figure out where that places for you. You know what I mean? So if whatever happens today, you get released, you don't get released. You're right. You got to find a way to find that program or those programs that help you develop those skills so you can stay out of this.
Yeah, I've never, if you look at my history, all these are environmental factors. I've never received an assault on anybody out in the community. I don't have a violent history out in the public. All this is all jail related. If you deal with mental health issues, you're not being provided with the proper mental health treatment and therapeutic, the proper mental health treatments, you're gonna have issues in here.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, people don't take that into consideration.
That's why I'm telling you, you need to find that program for you. Whether it's in there or whether when you get out, it's outside. You got to find it. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck to you, Mr. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez. So, Mr. Vincente is headed in a positive direction, I think. He has net tickets and such there. We're dealing with between now and June, which is his EOS to probation, not inspection parole, right?
5 years.
But, based upon, there's an extensive criminal history there. He admitted himself, and it's just what we saw on the way in. It's a good deal of skills, So based upon his criminal history and did go out in June.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll have a better setup when he's released. He did say something that, he wanted to do it on his own. And it's difficult to do things on our own sometimes. We need help from loved ones, family. He talked about the warden, he talked about that. So those are good, positive people to reach out for to help them with that. And then
He talked about the mentor in his housing now.
right,
And he said his brother's like that,
right,
So hopefully that connection is made and
yeah.
he can have the support to be successful.
Well, I hear the recommendation.
So
We have no
it's
EOS.
criminal history and constitutional.
EOS.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
we're dealing with
it's like not months.
for a longer period of time, maybe it would be something different, but it's a matter of 3 months. And probation, and plus, he's still pending when it comes to
Yeah, release on how
being
many
released.
Right,
So
you stated that.
the DOC would probably work with probation, so he lands in a decent place, right?
Correct.
So in regard to Luis Vincente, number 321453, to deny parole for criminal history and for institutional adjustment. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Vincente, we weren't able to give you parole tonight. We heard everything you said. We admire where you are trying to go. And we really hope that you continue to follow through on that, right?
And if my thing is, if I got the individuals who are looking down on me with a microscope on a daily basis. If I got the individuals who are looking down on me with a microscope on a daily basis, going above and beyond, emailing their superiors in order to get me off of these programs, these high security statuses and all that. You know, when you look at a paper trail, this is DOC, the defense mechanism. Their justification for what they do.
Yeah.
You know?
And what we're saying is that we heard you. We heard what you said, and we heard that you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know?
What good is it if I'm heading in the right direction? If the direction I was headed in was for a sole purpose, only thing you did was show me that it didn't matter whether I sat in here for a crime I didn't commit or not. You guys will make me go day for day all the way to the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't want to argue with you, but that's
Nah,
not.
I don't want to argue with you neither. I just wanted to point that out to you because I did day for day for a crime that I didn't commit. And I'm actually suing these officers. It don't matter if I had a poor institutional adjustment. You would have been pissed off too. You would have been mad if you would have been sitting in jail for a crime that you didn't commit. Because guess what? This ain't my first time. This ain't my first time spending in jail for a crime that I didn't commit. You know, and I don't expect you to understand that because you're a paper pusher.
No, not really.
All right, so with Mr. Vicente, best of luck to you. This concludes the
Man,
hearing for
fuck you,
Mr. Luis
people.
Vicente, inmate number
Not people ain't do shit
321453.
for me.
This concludes the hearing.
This how I
for the
live my life.
CI
This how I live
facility.
my
It's
life,
now
getting fucked
4:14
over.
p.m.
Be nice to y'all guys. My criminal history. Of course, I'm in jail. I got a criminal history. The ignorance that
Nothing surprises me anymore with these Connecticut parole hearings. It's a trend. There's something in the water. There's something there because we have seen in the few hearings that we have seen already, I think, 3 or 4, where there's just absolutely no respect for the parole board, where either they come in just cursing or they come in yelling at the parole board. And it's like, he calls the parole board a paper pusher. He's cursing at them, yelling. It's like, if this is what we see at their parole hearings, just imagine what it's like for these COs. Imagine what it's like, across the board. It reeks in the culture and it emanates through to the screen. And in my opinion, it says a lot. It says a lot from what we're seeing here. And, he's getting out anyways in a few months. So in his mind, hey, maybe it doesn't make a difference, but there should be some type of, it's just in the Louisiana hearings, they have wardens show up in many of the hearings and sit there with them, or they have some type of officer sit there, but they don't do that in these Connecticut hearings. They don't ask the staff how anything about the inmates. They don't get it. It's really just very inefficient parole hearings. But let's go over. One is he claims he's innocent. So let's go over this report. And thank you, Richard, for providing all of it. Waterbury Police, city man and stolen SUV rams cruiser after chase. So a city man with a lengthy rap sheet, although, he's innocent of everything, right? Led police on a car chase, rammed their cruiser with a stolen SUV, and fell about 35 feet onto Interstate 84 while being chased by officers on foot early Monday night, according to police. Lewis, who was 30 at the time, has a lengthy criminal record that dates back to 2011, although we all know he's the victim here, right? Police say that Vincent was behind the wheel of a stolen Jeep that was spotted speeding and swerving on Hawkins Street just after midnight on Monday. An officer swerved his cruiser to avoid a head-on collision with the Jeep, but it crashed into the front bumper of the police car, then kept driving, leaving that police car behind. Police spotted the Jeep again on Meadow Street minutes later and chased it onto I-84. Vincent made it about a mile away to exit 23, where the Jeep spun out of control near Hamilton Avenue, which spans the highway. When police tried to box in the front end of the Jeep, they say Vincent hit the gas, ramming the cruiser head on. The officers were not injured during the collision. Vincent bailed from the wrecked Jeep, scrambled over a concrete barrier near the bridge, lowered himself over the bridge, then dropped about 35 feet to the eastbound side of the highway. Vincent got to his feet, then ran across the busy highway as he tried to get away, according to police. An officer found him hiding behind a concrete barrier a short time later, along with a bloody knife. Though his face was bruised and scraped, the police say those injuries appeared to predate the crash. That's interesting. Does that look old? Kind of does look old, right? Oh, that looks fresh. That makes me wonder. I'll be frank about that. They're saying the police had nothing to do with it. Okay, Vincent was taken to St. Mary Hospital for treatment of leg injury. Police also detained Vincent's 35-year-old passenger, who told police she was screaming for Vincent to stop while he tried to outrun the officers in the stolen SUV. But remember, according to him, it wasn't stolen. I mean, that's pretty clear, right? But let's see. The Jeep's owner told police he left the SUV running and unlocked while he was inside the store. The vehicle owner watched as a man wearing a ski mask and armed with a gun climbed into the driver's seat and took off. Inside the crashed Jeep, police found a ski mask and a bullet in the ashtray, but did not find a firearm. Now, why would just a single bullet be in the ashtray? The only thing I can think of here is that he tossed the gun and he's nervous that maybe when he threw it, it would go off. So he ejected the round and then threw it out. And that round is the round that is in the ashtray. That's the only kind of thing I can think of. Because otherwise, why would that be the case, right? So Vicente, 31, was charged with 4 counts of attempted assault on a police officer, engaging officers in a pursuit, reckless driving, third-degree larceny, criminal trover, interfering and driving with a suspended license. What a surprise. Vincent, who was last known, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So very, very, very hard to believe that they would mix him up. I mean, it's pretty clear that, but we do have those documents he was waiving, and we can go over it. So let's go be thorough and see. Okay, so there's like 5 documents here. This guy seems to love suing really everyone. I don't know if I'll go through all the documents, but they are quite interesting. Let's start with one where he talks about suing the police department for harming him in the police pursuit chase. Now, remember, he claims that he was innocent and he took a plea deal. And so it's just impossible to believe because, of course, if it wasn't a stolen vehicle, why would he have taken a plea deal, right? It's pretty easy to clear up if it's stolen or not. Anyway, so the background: on December 9, 2018, the plaintiff was operating a vehicle that crashed into a Waterbury Police Department vehicle. Plaintiff alleges that the defendant, a Waterbury police officer, so here he is suing a police officer, drew his firearm and pointed it directly at him after he exited the vehicle. The plaintiff ran and climbed the wall of a highway overpass barrier. It is alleged that he raised his hands to surrender and that the defendant then pushed him over the barrier wall. As a result of his fall, the plaintiff fractured his ankle and was taken to St. Mary Hospital ambulance. I guess this is 2018. This is before everyone had cams, huh? So surgery on his ankle was performed later. The plaintiff now takes pain medication for his consistent ankle, leg, and back pain, and Benadryl for his anxiety. Plaintiff has a history of depression, anxiety, paranoia, and he asserts that these conditions have been exacerbated as a result of the incident. Plaintiff claims to experience nightmares and lack of sleep as a result of the issue. Can you imagine being a police officer dealing with all the crap that you have to deal with and get sued. What a nightmare. Plaintiff, who currently is confined in the Department of Corrections, brought the actions against the police office. Defendant, in his official individual capacities, the plaintiff seeks damages for his mental, emotional, and physical injury in connection with the defendant's use of excessive force during his arrest. So proceeded against the defendant in individual capacity for damages of claim of excessive force in violation of the Fourth Amendment. So even in this lawsuit, he's not claiming that he's innocent. He's simply claiming that he was pushed off a bridge when he tried to surrender. And it's, I mean, like, let's be real. If that's it's just not believable. None of it's believable. Do I believe that there are bad apples and that things like this happen? Absolutely. But with all the inconsistencies of this case, claiming you're innocent, claiming it wasn't a stolen car, claiming you were just, wrongfully accused of stealing a car and you got scared and ran, and then there's nothing in any legal documentation that discusses or addresses that fact, which would be a major fact, which would be clearly and easily defined in any type of legal document, because although he probably would still have gotten in trouble for running, because I think there's still probable cause to pull him over and he's not allowed to run. Even if they have the wrong car, there's still probable cause to pull him over and see if it's the wrong car. And they just bring up a bunch of medical this and medical that, and different legal whatnots. I'll drop these links in the description if you want to check it out. The state, a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress under Connecticut law, and plaintiff must allege that 1, the defendant intended to inflict emotional distress. 2, the defendant's conduct was extreme and dangerous. 3, the defendant's conduct was cause of the plaintiff's distress. 4, the resulting emotional distress by the plaintiff. It is pretty amazing. You run from a cop, you hit their car, you crash it, and then you sue the police officer for putting you under stress. The present record concerning the defendant's conduct consists with the plaintiff's allegations in the complaint of his declaration, which, if credited, could lead a jury to conclude that the defendant's conduct was extreme and outrageous. It is also undisputed that the plaintiff suffers from and takes medication for anxiety, while the plaintiff on page 10 of his motion notes that everyone deals with some degree of emotional distress. This court finds that mental illness claimed by Mr. Vicente and viewed in light of most favorable to him is well within the prima facie, or is it prima facie range of seriousness required to survive the present motion of summary judgment. Finally, whether the defendant intends to cause plaintiff emotional distress by his conduct and whether the plaintiff suffers from severe emotional distress as a result of such conduct and issues for a jury to resolve. The defendant's motion for summary judgment on this claim, therefore, must be denied. So the conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, it is thereupon ordered and adjudged as follows. The defendant's motion for partial summary judgment denied. Pursuant to Rule 8310, the court concludes that the appointment of counsel will serve the interests of justice. Therefore, the court respectfully asks the clerk of court to assign a pro bono attorney to represent the plaintiff in this action. Isn't that interesting? That my understanding, remember, I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney, and most of you know that by now, is that he does what looks like a frivolous lawsuit, and then the court orders the plaintiff to be given a pro bono attorney. So it's like it's like they're encouraging, to me, it seems like they're encouraging a frivolous lawsuit to be paid by the taxpayer dollar to sue a police officer. That is my understanding of this. They're like, no, it's all wrong. You're not going to get a default judgment. But don't worry, here's an attorney so you can take another shot. I mean, that's just my understanding, which is pretty nuts. I mean, talk about, that's hard for me to understand. I'm all for like justice and everything, but man, if you're getting sued by someone who has a long criminal record, like I just don't. This is another one. So this is one where he sues the warden, and he sues basically for what he thought was a violation of his, I think, Fourth Amendment right. So it goes through the background about how he's in prison with the Sullies, how they were covering the windows. They said you can't cover the windows, but they were covering it anyways. So then they restrained them, and then they escaped from the restraints. So then they restrained them again, and he escaped from his restraints, and he got write-ups for it. And he thought that it was all a violation of his Fourth Amendment right. And then he sues. Let's see. The plaintiff alleges that prior to the attack, he told Captain Wiggins about the history of the conflict, of various threats to kill him. The Captain Wiggins did nothing. The allegation is sufficient plausible that the captain was aware of the threat and did nothing. Plaintiff alleges that Warden was aware of the history of inmate on inmate violence. So also, I guess someone had hurt him inside the cell, and that they didn't stop it. He likes to sue. If the plaintiff is addressed during the allegation of the case, the court failure to do so result in dismissal of this case. Plaintiff must get notice to new address. Incarcerated. Plaintiff should write, please note my new address on the notice. Is simple. The new address letter without indicating that it is a new address. I don't understand. I'll put it in the description. And then he does have the other documents, but I don't know. I don't think it's that interesting to go over, but I'll put it in the description. It's the actual documents that he was waving in front of the camera, but it from what I was reading, it doesn't address to what he's saying, and it just doesn't add up to me. But I'll drop the link in there too. Thank you, Richard, as always. And with that, I'll let you go.
I've been down my downfall since my
Now-
teenage years.
Now,
drinking.
Mr. Howard, listen, I'm known to have a drink or two. I've even been in love a time or two before, but I've never climbed through anybody's window to get into their house. So what kind of love was this? Like, I mean, where people send you to jail and they take out protective orders on you. What kind of love is that? That's the kind of love you.
We are about to watch a parole hearing out of the state of Connecticut for a man who's been locked up again and again and again for violating protection order. He's serving a 5-year sentence and up for parole. Let's go in to dive in for the full hearing.
My name is Ronnie Howard, Junior, 303-386.
Hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Ronnie Howard, inmate number 303-386. He is serving a sentence of 10 years jail, 5 years to serve, followed by 3 years of probation for 2 counts of burglary second. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility of August 8th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the domestic violence program, Tier 1, and utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within a very high risk for recidivism. Mr. Howard, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I should be granted parole because I haven't gotten in trouble in 4 years while I'm incarcerated.
I completed every program on my OAP sheet required to me. I have a job lined up for me at Sugar Factory at Foxwoods Casino. And my 2 youngest sons want to see me and can't wait for me to come home from jail to spend time. I have to work for the success in life. Nothing's going to come to me being incarcerated. I just have to live a healthy life in the future. It's more than life than drinking.
Thank you very much, Mr. Howard, for that statement. Were you finished with it? Because you stopped
Yes.
kind of abruptly. Okay.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So let's talk a little bit about your alcoholism and your inability to it looks like control your emotions. So I know that you were on probation or TS when you violated your protective order. Is that right?
I was on probation at the time.
Okay. And that probation was terminated. And how long were you out in the community before you violated that?
I was out on bond for 5.5 months, man. And then I caught this case right here, and I'm
listening to you, and I'm just like, I'm thinking Spider-Man kind of thing. You're climbing through windows. You know, what was going on? You couldn't let her go?
Nah, that's just the kids of my mother, just the love I have for her. Like, even though I had a protective order, she still wanted me to come around, and I was always playing with fire, you know? So she would call me and be like, "You coming over?" I knew I had a protective order, but if I didn't come over, she would accuse me of being with other people, but
Wait. So in order for you to get into her house, you had to climb through her window? She wouldn't open the door after she called you and asked you to come over?
Nah, I got arrested twice, man. I'm just talking about
you said, I know that you got arrested more than twice, by the way, but I'm asking you, you said that she had the protective order out on you, but she would call you and ask you to come over. So when you got there, she wouldn't open the door and let you in. You had to climb through the window?
I'm speaking on my last arrest. That's my last arrest. I had got arrested twice within an hour. And
right.
Then they let me out. I went back to the package store. They told me not to go back up over there, but I went over there anyway because I was blacked out drunk. I wasn't thinking. That's been my downfall since my teenage years.
Now, Mr. Howard, listen, I'm known to have a drink or two. I've even been in love a time or two before, but I've never climbed through anybody's window to get into their house. So what kind of love was this? Like, I mean, where people send you to jail and they take out protective orders on you. What kind of love is that? That's the kind of love you want?
That ain't love, but can I explain this scenario to you, man? That was my, I had the housing voucher. We had a family. I got 2 sons by it. I had the housing voucher. So
I have children too. And if someone doesn't want me, guess what?
I realize that now, being down going on 4 years on 5 years, but that's all I wanted to do was drink. You know, I had demons, and that's all I wanted to do was drink, man. I apologize for my past life, but I'm a new person now. I never believed in God either. I never had a religion. And all I wanted to do was just drink, and I never expressed my feelings to nobody. I didn't want to go to counseling, but now, by me going to all these programs, I see a different vision. My family, they believe in God, and they keep telling me just take it one day at a time. That's what I've been doing.
That's all you can do. But you can't sit here and tell me that at 38 years old, you didn't know that climbing through her window and knocking stuff over and beating her car with bats and stuff was not the right thing to do. You can't tell me that. You knew that. Under influence or no under influence, you knew that you shouldn't have been doing that stuff.
Yeah, if I was sober, I wouldn't even think twice about doing that. It just,
Now, I wouldn't even blame it all on the alcohol either.
I'm
It's
taking full ownership of,
you can't
my
take full
choice.
ownership of it if you're saying I wouldn't have done it if I was drinking. And the
No,
fact of the
but-
matter is that you would have done it, and you have done it more than once.
I made a choice and I gotta live with that, you know?
So taking responsibility to me is I lost control. I didn't want to let this girl go. I was drinking because I couldn't deal with the breakup, and that's why I did what I did. Does that sound like I'm accepting responsibility?
Or that.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. More than I was drinking. If I wasn't drinking, I wouldn't have done it. No, the fact of the matter is, listen, it was hurting. I couldn't let her go. That's accepting responsibility. I mean, you choked this girl.
Choked the girl? I don't even remember that, man. I just told you I was in the blackout. I don't remember, but I'll take responsibility for it if it said on the paper, you know.
It does. Tell me what's been your longest period of sobriety, Mr. Howard? What's been your longest period of sobriety?
3 to 4 years. At a time, I take time off because I'm not making this a pity party. I've been through tragic episodes in my life, so I chose to drink because I've been through a lot in my life. Tragic stories, I could keep going on and on, but that's just my coping mechanism.
Well, it sounds to me that your coping mechanism needs to be contacting a therapist or someone to talk to, because, you know, the way that you're going, you're only causing more trauma to other people.
Yeah,
and
that's
it has to be traumatic being in prison. Who wants to be in there?
This ain't no place for nobody. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy because you can't get the time back. I got 2 sons. They don't got a father figure.
Well, they should. If their father is going to be beating up their mother, they don't need that kind of father figure. Period.
Yeah, I understand that, man, but that's 4 years ago going on. I'm different now because I've had a lot of time to sit here and think. I would go to the programs. I voice my opinion and give my feedback before I then speak about nothing.
Yeah, well, Mr. Howard, have you ever seen your parents fighting?
Yeah.
Exactly. Did you forget it in 4 years? At 38? Did you forget it in 4 years? No. It's still with you. That's the same thing that you've done to your own children. And you keep talking about this, that she's a child of the mother of your children. Is she the victim in all of your offenses?
She's not the victim in all my offenses. They don't even live in the state. They with her mother because, ma'am, she's out. Ever since I came in, I worked. I had a job at Foxwoods. I was a provider of the family. She's out there.
I don't see that. That's not what my record indicates. It looks like your work history is very sporadic. You work when you want to. You're gonna go and get disability and all of these other things that you want to do. I thought I wrote down that you hadn't worked. Let me look that up before I misspeak because I'm notorious for that.
Nah, you only doing your job.
Mohegan Sun picking up stuff and that's
Yeah, but how long
sugar
ago?
factory. Well, that was in 2019.
Right. It was sporadic, but I mean, you had worked.
Absolutely sporadic.
He hadn't worked before that in 2 years. Isn't that what she said?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, sure with that. So,
Yep.
yeah. So how do you provide for your family with no job? You know, Mr. Howard, the long story short is that this is ridiculous stuff. You have to get a handle on your life, sir, or you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Because unfortunately, you're saying that you're blacked out. If you black out and you put your hands around someone's neck and they die, it's going to be a completely different life for you.
I'm being here for the rest of my life, but I've been coming in and out of the prison system my whole life, man. It's time to grow up and step up to the plate. I'm about to be 39 years old.
Yeah.
It's either now or never. I got to get it together now. You only live once and you want to be around for your family and enjoy life instead of having somebody else tell you what to do and all that.
Exactly. My colleague asked the guy before you, who wants to be told what to do? Everybody wants to be right. Who doesn't? Listen, I want to be right. I don't like being told what to do. So I really do try to do the right thing, even when nobody's looking. And if I drink, I stay my behind at home. If that, unfortunately, alcohol is something, it's legal. It's what you do after you consume the alcohol that becomes your problem. Anyway, Mr. Rodriguez, I apologize.
I don't have any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I just have one or two follow-ups. So Mr. Howard, you did the Explore Domestic Violence program while you were in the community a few years back, right?
Yeah, and then I did the domestic violence program in here, man. When I was at Corbin, I wasn't even sentenced and I finished the program.
Well, good for you, because I think that shows that you want to learn, right? You want to learn from your mistakes and how to have good relationships. My question is, when you were doing the Explore program back in 2015, is it the same victim that you're here for today?
That's my kid's mother, 2015. We was together for 11 years.
So this is kind of one of those, this is a tumultuous relationship between the two of you.
We love each other sometimes, and then we don't want nothing to do with each other.
Love each other to a fault.
Right.
Yeah, but I've been out the way. She's on drugs since I've been incarcerated. So I just gotta focus on my kids. When I do get out of prison, and make them that main mission instead of drinking. Cause every time I would come home, I would worry about drinking first, man. I'm really trying to work on myself individually. And people that come to jail, they don't love themselves inside. I didn't love myself, and how could I love somebody and I didn't love me for who I am?
You need to be a good person. You need to learn to have and want to have healthy, positive relationships, right? Sometimes you just don't click with the person, even if you have children with them. I just want to comment on a couple of things that you said to the parole officer. That you didn't want to do treatment because you thought mental health treatment because you thought it would affect your ability to have visitation with your children. Or I'm going to say to you that I'm going to suggest that you rethink that. I think the more work you do to better yourself and how you think and behave and respond to situations, the better for you and the better for your children. Because as I'm reading this, it does seem like they are your main focus. So to be a better person, a better father, you need to do things that help you too.
And I gotta get me right first, because if I'm not right, I can't help nobody, man.
That's right. No agency is going to fault you for wanting to be a better person and be programmed to make you that better person. Right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Howard, we're going to deliberate. Give us a few minutes and we'll give you our decision. Please don't interrupt. All right. So, I appreciate Mr. Howard's desire to turn his life around. That's our desires for him as well. That's our desires for everybody that is in there. So the fact of the matter is that he's been given a number of opportunities. His violent behaviors, with his intimate partner, they're very concerning. In fact, when you put your hands around someone's neck, that's one of the most lethal actions that one can take, and because you never know if you're going to suffocate them, strangle them to death. So it sounds as if he had some support in the community. He's asking for a halfway house, and he was on probation when he committed this offense. Says he's been down for 4 years. He's done next year, January. He rates out very high at 38 years old. I would not be able to support his request for discretionary parole today. 1, he's only taken a tier 1. 2, he's been out in the community 7 times and failed 6. And I'm sure he's completed the domestic violence program before, but his criminal history, his being on probation and performing poorly, I just don't think that he's a good risk to take. So my vote would be to deny him with no new hearing date. Mr. Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, I would concur with you as well, for basically the same reason that outlined. And I think, in his statement, he is trying to do something, but
Yeah.
it's just, I think those other factors, those aggravating factors, just a bit too much for me.
Thank you. Ms. Palmieri?
I agree. I'd like to see Mr. Howard use his remaining time to advocate for a higher level of a tier program, perhaps, maybe a fatherhood program.
Yeah.
To help him regain some type of custody and contact with his children.
I appreciate that. So my reasons for denial is criminal history. Anything else? I have lots of things, so I just want to see.
It's on
Probation. And I also have poor performance on probation. Yeah, those are my reasons. All right, so with regard to Ronnie Howard, 3038386, I move to deny his request for discretionary parole based on his criminal history, his offense being committed on probation, also his poor performance on probation as evidenced by the 6 failed attempts out of the 7. He will not receive a new hearing, and he will ask off his sentence and go on to probation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, Mr. Howard, unfortunately, we couldn't support your application here today, sir. Continue working on yourself. You're headed in the right path, but you got some more stuff to do. So we wish you the best.
All right, now,
Thank you.
take care now.
Okay, so I actually quite enjoyed the way that these parole board members handled this parole hearing. I would love to hear more of her in the future. Sadly, it's not clear to me if it was Paige or Palmieri who was leading it. But as time goes, I'll pick up more on this. But it's, I mean, the way that she handled it, like, was it like Spider-Man that was climbing through the windows? And what he was saying, it was just so bizarre and shocking. He said, well, if I didn't come over, she would accuse me of cheating. And just think about that statement. So she's inviting him to the house, and then she calls him out on it. He's like, well, really? So then you climb through the window? And she goes on to say, I've been known to have a drink or two. I've even fallen in love once or twice, but I don't climb through a window. I don't take a bat and start smashing up someone's home or car. And to just think that he has spent so much time locked up over this woman. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'd be willing to bet even that that's a tattoo of her name on his cheek right there. And it's as kind of like funny as I thought this hearing went, even to hear him talk about so like nonchalantly bring it up that he was arrested twice and I think 1 hour. So he's arrested for violating the protection order. He gets out of jail, and 1 hour later, he's back at her house and arrested again. And these are things that don't even seem to reflect on his record. Now, Richard pulled up his record. I'll just read it to you because it's not in a shareable format. But it is 3 pages long. And it goes starting from 2014, violation of a protection order. What do you know? And it's just like suspended sentence, and he another violation of protection order. So then he gets 10 months jail. Then he gets out and violation of protection order and the suspended sentence. And it goes on and on and on, just over and over and over. He's getting arrested because of her. Because he's violating the protection order. And there's some robberies in there. There's possession with intent to distribute an ounce of Pepsi Cola. There's firearm stuff. I mean, it's a career criminal type things. And it is hard to understand it. And frankly, I have no belief that he's not going to, as soon as he gets out in about a year from now, when he finishes his full time of 5 years, does anyone believe that he's not going to go and get violated again and get sent back again. I don't know the answer for this. I don't know how you fix this, but it is, and we don't know from her perspective how terrified she might be. It seemed the board was alluding to him perhaps putting her arms around her neck and things like that. It doesn't reflect in his record as often these crimes don't fully reflect how the reality of the situation of what someone has done. But when you climb through someone's window, just think about the terror that someone would face to have someone who they are scared of, that they put a protection order against them, and they climb through your window. I mean, one has to think that she would be afraid when she finds out he'll get out, just waiting for him to show up through her window. And we hear about this stuff all the time. We see it in true crime TV all the time. We read about it all the time. These are the type of offenses, which is, I'm sorry to say, is funny and I thought well handled as this hearing could be. It shouldn't be taken lightly. It's terrifying. It's scary. It's dangerous. Man. We'll go over sometime. I like to, so sometimes they show the board in the video, so I'll try to get that footage for you next time and we can go over it and their bios. I've done that a couple times on previous hearings. But I would like to hear some more of this board. I thought that it was handled quite well. And thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that, I'll let you